So welcome everybody. Nice to see you all. So it appears that there's separate things appearing. Thoughts separate from emotions. Sight separate from hearing. Hearing separate from feeling. Separate events. Separate bodies. That is how it appears. Life appears to be separate in parts. But it's not. There aren't any parts. There is the appearance of parts. Really, that's the whole story. That's the whole message. That the appearance of separation is illusory. Separation between things and separation in time. Separation into separate events. Something happens. We make a happening a thing, just like we make things into things. And that's completely natural. This isn't a suggestion that that's wrong. It's just saying that's how it appears to be. That's how it looks. That's how it seems. But the separation isn't real in the way that we've been taught that it's real. In the way that we've learned that it's real. So then, I guess you, like me, then you like the idea of oneness. That there's only one happening and there's only one thing. Now, again, that makes perfect sense why human beings have done that. We've done that because we can't imagine nothing. So it has to be something, some absolute thing. No wonder God's so popular. Because it's an answer and it satisfies me. That's not what's being suggested at all. What's suggested is you can't know actually, really, how this is. All there is how it appears to be. So this message is very unsatisfactory for the one who wants to know an answer, because it's not an answer. At best, this is the absence of questions, because they can't be answered. Now, it might appear that you have to ask as many questions as you need to ask in order to get to the point where the questions are all empty and the questions all have the same answer, which is, I don't know. So this is the answer of uncertainty, of not knowing, of unknown. And it's not what I wanted. I wanted to know the answer. Most seekers want to know the answer. And yet, of course, there is no peace in that. Because you may have noticed already that an answer always leads to another question. And questions are always relative. They're always about something. But now I just find it amusing that there are some human beings who have a complete conviction that they have the answer to everything, and also have the answer to nothing. It's funny, isn't it? Of course, there is, I've talked to that there is this sense of separation that is the appearance. And that hasn't changed. It's just that it's not believed to be true. And it's not replaced with a belief in something else. It's not that things don't appear to be separate, but there is a great peace in what I took to be the separate things that were happening to me and were mine, especially my thoughts and my feelings. It can just be obvious that feelings appear uncaused, just like everything else. They don't belong to me. They're not my feelings. I could still describe them as my feelings, but that doesn't mean that they are mine. As a figure of speech, it still makes kind of sense when you're talking to other human beings to call them mine. But the ownership of them and what they say about me, what thoughts say about me, thoughts don't say anything about you or me, no matter what they say. So all the separate appearances are all completely empty. You give them all the meaning that they have. Well, if you'd like to ask anything or you want to share anything, then feel free to do that. If you want me to speak about a topic, then you can ask that.
In the
Hi,
chat.
Tim.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Natalie. It's okay.
You sure, Darren? Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Natalie.
Okay. Hi. I'll just share this. I'll make it quick. So last night we went to the movie and we came out and our car had been broken into. And they didn't really get much. They just got some brake pads that we had just gotten to replace the brakes. And then I didn't find out until this morning. They took my son's little wallet, and inside of it was a gift card to this arcade kind of mini golf place. And it had like lots of tickets. He's been saving up for this big prize for a year and a half. And it had all of his certificates for everything that, you know, all the games he had played and won. And it was like so automatic. I was pissed. I was sad. I was like, who cares about any of it, the other stuff? This kid, his tickets, he saved. And all of those thoughts and emotions, like, were just coming up, you know, flooding in. And, you know, there was just like a thought, like, there's no separation in that. There's no, even the unknowableness of the situation, this seeming situation, literally doesn't change anything. It's not, it's unchangeable. This, you know, this what is just so unchangeable. It doesn't, the feelings of anger or, you know, I should have done this or any of that doesn't mean a thing. It's just so automatic. So, and there's no separate anything in any of it, you know, and there's no separation. It's just like what it is, you know.
So you're telling us you had a very unenlightened response.
I guess so. Oh well, it's what it is. Yeah, it's just like, my God, you know,
Yeah.
these guys don't even realize it. It's like, go ahead and take the gift card and play some games and buy yourself a big gift with that, you jerks. You know, that's kind of like, ugh. But it was just automatic. It's like, I don't, you know, who knows? Who knows? Someone else might have had a better response. I mean, not that there is a better or a worse, but in their mind, you know, it might have been more enlightened.
Yeah.
But it's just real natural, just all of it, you know, no separation in it. I just thought I'd share that. But oh, and then I forgot, this is the best part of the story. So I have a group chat with my sisters and nieces, and I told them what happened. And my niece showed up to my door with a $50 gift card for my son. And then my other sister, she told me, she said, I've been saving these tickets for 10 years. They were from her daughter who is now in college. She said, I called the place and they'll still take the tickets. And so now, like, he got these tickets and I was like, oh, you know, what did anyone do for that, you know, or any of it, the whole thing. And then my sisters and I had a really lovely chat about my mom and dad. Just like, isn't this just like amazing, all this stuff? Just
How lovely.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thanks
Heather.
for letting me share.
Oh, no, it's nice.
In the chat, Tim, F says, if you can't know no separation,
Right.
how do you know there is no separation?
Oh, you don't. No, you can't know. You can't know no separation. No, you can only know separation. That's what knowing is. You cannot know no separation. That's fucking worthwhile, isn't it? No, I mean, you we get on very tricky ground if you talk about knowing no separation, because the no separation is nothing, or emptiness, or spaciousness, or no thing. And you good luck with trying to know nothing. There's nothing to be known about nothing. No, the thingness is the only thing that's knowable is things, obviously. And things are all in separation. It can be. I have to use the word obvious because I haven't got a better word. It can be obvious without any. I mean, you can call it knowing, but it's not the correct word. We don't have language for how it can be obvious that everything is empty. And yet the emptiness can be overwhelmingly obvious. And the thingness and the nothingness are not two. That's why this isn't a message of escapism, unlike most spirituality, which is almost always giving you a way out. This isn't an escape from separation. It's saying there is none. You would need to be separate to be able to escape from it. And there isn't anyone. So there isn't anyone to become whole, and there isn't anyone to escape, and there isn't anyone to be separate. It is the most bizarre thing to speak about this, because it can only sound as though you do know what you're talking about when you don't. There are plenty of speakers you can go and listen to who will say they do know what they're talking about. But the only way you could know what you're talking about is you've made everything into something. One great big thing. One absolute thing. And well, you may as well go to church for that.
Razia has a hand up.
Hi, Razia.
Hi, Tim.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Can't see most of you. Can't see most of you, but you do. I think basically It was a very good question. How do you know? And the key word is know, because to know means trying to understand from an intellectual perspective, you know? How do you know you're not separate? And everyone is, and obviously this is non-duality, so it's like
Do you
we're
know?
buying
Do you know,
this
Razia?
philosophy. We're buying into a philosophy or a way of life or whatever that's called non-duality, which means no separation. And why are we buying into it? Why do we believe that there's such a thing as no separation? So we go back to experiences, people that have had the experiences. Like this week, I've been listening to this woman called Jill Bolte Taylor. And she's amazing, especially that first TED Talk. And the thing is, when she talks about it, she says that when she had this experience, it was like there was no difference. She was just simply fluid. Like 80% of our body is water. And that was what she felt, that she was just simply water. And then she couldn't distinguish from herself from the wall, you know? And lots of people have had experiences like that. So obviously, if I have to, say, decide now, what to offer someone, you know, I would offer experience rather than an intellectual understanding. You know, I'll say, hey, let's open up a school where we can get people to experience this kind of a thing, you know, this. Yeah, and it's not only her, there are lots of people who have had experiences. Like when I had the experience, I just felt I was like wind. And when I got up the next, this was even before that, my connection to everything was like feeling. Like if someone had a pain, I would feel that pain. I would feel their thoughts. I would feel the person. Even if they were miles away from me, I could feel it, you know, feel their energies, for lack of a better word. It's like you're connected somehow, you know? I don't know. That's about all I can say.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not, when I'm speaking, I'm really not speaking about experiences.
Yes.
I mean, I can tell stories of experiences, but they are stories. Just
Yes,
stories of
they will
experiences.
remain a story until it is not a story, you know, and it's
Yeah.
still part of the story because it's all happening within this existence of whatever that we are. So even if we take it out, we can't take it out of it and we say we are out here now, out of the whole thing and observing what's happening. Although observation of what is happens. There is that too. There is that time when you feel like you have fallen into yourself. Like the whole day, I felt like I was just observing what was happening around me, not attached to what was happening, you know? It's like it was out there and I'm here, you know, kind of a thing, that there's no Raz here. So, I don't know, that's from, like Tim says, it's experience. It's experience of what it is. I don't know. I still can't say that. I know others have shared my experience. So I look at that. There is some sort of commonality. When I share, someone else had the very same experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, oh, I did too, you know? So in that way, like it becomes more real to me. But still, it is, I am not I don't exist as separate. So I don't know.
You know now, if someone, because I get that said to me, well, it's okay for you because you don't exist.
Yeah.
I mean, that's funny because, of course, there is no sense of not existing.
Yeah. The only thing is when you feel like you are inside or there's some fear and then you look out.
because of
You're
course,
looking out, and why it's not you that's looking. Like, you know, you don't feel like it's you
yeah, but
looking through your eyes. So what if-
but there's no sense of no me.
Yeah.
I don't have any
And
sense.
then it
I
doesn't
have
even
no
make
sense
sense.
of not being the looker. That would be me not being the looker. You know,
Yeah. Also, it doesn't
I
make
have no
sense,
sense
you
of
know?
that. This isn't the whole. I mean, I was. That's what I was looking for. I was waiting until I would know the absence of the one who was waiting.
Looking.
And of
Yeah.
course,
Also, it doesn't make sense.
there is no greater
Sorry.
joke than waiting for the absence of the one until they're absent, and then you'll be able to notice the absence of the one who was waiting for the absence of the one who was waiting.
Also, it doesn't make sense because, like, I was reading the scientific thing that said that if we are looking through our eyes, then we would be seeing double, you know, and people would appear upside down. So, what is looking? What is seeing this entire thing as a three-dimensional space, you know? It's certainly not this persona. Because how would we see this whole beautiful world the way it is if it was this eyes that was looking, if it was only seeing this, you know? And from a scientific perspective, I'll be seeing upside down people. So there's just no sense to it. But it's beautiful. It's so beautiful.
Thanks, Rosie.
Hey, Tim, is there a sense of being that you feel, or just a sense of being, or a sense of knowing, but not knowing anything? Just a sense of presence. I'm curious, or is that like having a sense of me, which of course doesn't make sense? Who could have a sense of me?
Well, I mean, so what were the words? Being, presence. What was the other one?
Aliveness.
Aliveness. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we can use any words. I will say all the words lose all the weights that you place on, that you have placed on language. You know, that one word is closer to the truth than another. That's really what seems to have evaporated. Where, so if you say this aliveness, this being, yeah, they're all fine, but I mean, they don't actually, none of them are accurate. There aren't any words to accurately describe how life actually is. So I could say yes to all of them, and I could say no to all of them, and I wouldn't mind doing both, really. I mean, that's the shittest answer you could get, Cliff, really, because you want to know, okay, is one of those words closer to what's being spoken of? And no, none of the words are close. And so there is a sense that language is liberated from the one who would analyze the language and say that, okay, that word's closer and that one. There will be preference for language for some words rather than others. But again, that's very individual to each human being. You will have your own preferences, and you will like the way some human beings speak about this more than others and the language they use. That doesn't make them closer to the truth. Because there is no closer or further away, Cliff. I mean, all that I'm trying to convey is that everything is complete as it is, with or without the language, with or without description. Everything is simply as it is.
Yeah, I wasn't. The takeaway is it doesn't need to be described. There's
No.
no necessity for it. There's
No.
nobody to tell. There's no reason to communicate that
No.
or even to acknowledge it because it's just apparent. I wasn't looking for the right word, you know, and I wasn't looking for truth. I was just kind of looking maybe to truthiness or, you know, truthy kind of a thing, but not truth in any kind of absolute way. I was just looking at maybe on how to frame it. But if I get, you know, kind of what you're pointing to, it seems it's just no necessity whatsoever to describe it or to try and communicate it.
No, I mean, one of the beauties about trying to communicate this is the futility of doing so.
Yeah.
Which again, that might sound ridiculous, but that is why I wouldn't speak about this if I could get it right, because I'd be worried like fuck about getting it wrong.
Yeah, but nonetheless, we are speaking of it, speaking at it, pointing at it. You know, we could never get it, but there's no expectation of that. But
No.
we are playing and doing this, and sometimes I wonder, you know, why? And the only thing that I could come up with is that it feels right, it feels good.
Yeah. Well,
it just feels like this is where I should be at this moment.
I think those who speak about this enjoy speaking about it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they wouldn't speak about it. But there is another thing, and this is something Tony Parsons always said, which I didn't get. I really wondered what he was on about when he used to say it, and he would often say that this is the only compassion. And this is a compassionate message. It just doesn't sound like a compassionate message, but it is.
Yeah.
So this is spoken out of love and out of compassion.
Well, I totally get that.
And that's motivation enough to speak about it.
Yeah.
It seems.
Yeah. And it appears that you're not looking for any particular result or expecting any.
No, there are no results. The wonder, Cliff, is that there can't be any results. I mean, it's even better than I'm not looking for a result. There are no results.
Yeah, it's kind of brilliant to hear that, isn't it?
Isn't that wonderful? I mean, there you go. You can't get more compassionate than that. So there will be no result of this meeting or of any of the words that I speak or anyone else speaks. Now, there will be stories of results.
Right.
That's all there will be.
Yeah. So it's like it's kind of like the nothing happens. Nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
Nothing happened. Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. Lovely. That's just lovely, Tim.
I mean, it is lovely.
Yeah.
I mean, there will be stories of what happened. That's all.
Yeah.
Thanks, Cliff. So the wonder that nothing happened, of course, is the end of causality. This is uncaused, which is why we can say, I can say with quite some certainty and conviction, I don't doubt that no one can understand that. If this is uncaused, then of course it's utterly there's no understanding, because causation is essential for any understanding. One event has to lead to another. There has to be some linear causality for anything to make sense. This doesn't need to make sense. This is wonderfully, perfectly, imperfectly, just as it is, always. No before, no after, no next. Nothing will happen. There is no greater compassion than that. This is the entirety. Thanks, Cliff.
Irene, it's a hand up.
Hi, Irene.
I think you're muted, Irene. I don't know whether you know.
If you just click on unmute, Irene.
Gotcha. Thank you. There's this deep sense of on the one hand, almost wanting to do away with language altogether because it's so useless in attempting to speak about this. There's also this very deep underlying, I don't know whether it's sadness or compassion or I don't know how to put words to it. It's like the unbelievable beauty of it and sacredness of it at the same time that, I mean, it's so hard to put words to this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wonder about this sense of sadness that's present here. Just also exquisite as it is, just so as it is.
Yeah. I know there is a sadness.
What is that sadness?
Well, I mean, it's the loss of everything.
The loss of everything.
Yeah.
It doesn't, obviously, there's some aspect that recognizes that, but it also doesn't feel like anything has been lost at the same time.
Well, there is nothing to be lost, but what is lost is whatever you said that you had. Of course, it's all loss. For me, this is all loss. So it's loss. It's loss on a scale that most cells won't even, would never go within 1,000,000 miles of, because it's not only the loss of everything that you said that you have, it's the loss of yourself. And of course, in the loss of that, there is nothing to lose, because there's no one already has a self. There's no one who already doesn't have a self. There is no self to lose. But in the seeming losing, it can feel. And I've spoken before, here a lot of the sadness was for how hard I tried to be good enough and all the effort that I put in, when it was really clear that that was all for nothing. And then there's the sadness that, of course, everything is for nothing.
Yeah.
I'd be amazed that anyone who, even if you get a glimpse of this, there's almost certain to be some sadness with that. But then if it's all fading, that are in virtually everyone I've ever spoken to about this, there's sadness. All your achievements. Nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. That's very
And
very freeing at the same time.
oh, it's hugely, I mean, that is the liberation. This is a
Yeah.
this is a dreadful liberation.
Yes, it is. It really is. It really is.
Truly, and it shouldn't. I mean, I just think quite often that's overlooked, the dreadful part of it. Self wants to keep all its achievements, but to feel okay about itself. Well, it will all turn to ashes. Everything is annihilated. Everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the annihilation is the liberation. And in the loss of everything, nothing is lost.
Yeah.
Because it's actually worse than the loss of everything. It's that it never was. So it was never there to lose. Whatever you said you have, whatever you've held most dear, everything, it's all gone. And incredibly, that feels like unconditional love,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to the conditional love when it was yours.
Mm-hmm. I don't get the part about it never was.
Well,
It felt like it was, but
yeah. No, so in the
it
seeming losing, then it feels like you're losing what you had, but really it was never yours.
uh-huh. Yeah. My initials are IDK, and I really don't know diddly squat about anything, and
Well,
somehow is totally okay.
it is okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're in very good company here, Irene.
Yeah, thank you. You know, this image keeps arising today for some reason of when I was 22. I'm 71 now. And when I was 22, I attempted suicide by taking a bottle of pills.
Right.
And I ended up the last thing I remembered was my husband at the time asking me where was the emergency room, and I laughed. And that was the last I remembered. And the next thing that I remembered, I was sitting at my dining room table. My mother was feeding me some soup, and 3 days had passed. So suddenly I was there, and then I was there again. But what happened in between, there's absolutely no memory of anything that happened in between. And that is just arising today for some reason, to be explored or to be recognized.
Mm-hmm.
Just, can you speak at all to that?
There is nothing. Yeah, well, there's nothing in between, Irene.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like just suddenly there I was again. There I was. Then I wasn't, and then I was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
Well, I think nearly everyone experiences that every night in deep sleep.
Mm-hmm. I never think of it in those terms, but
I think that is how it is.
yeah, no, I see that.
But we sort of overlook. I mean, everyone overlooks that they completely disappear every day.
Yeah.
There's this notion of continuity which doesn't exist. So just nonsense. There is no continuity. So in waking, the illusion of continuity can seem to be, but then self has to forget and not remember that it wasn't there for six hours, and then it then reappeared, reborn.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing how we don't speak about deep sleep.
Yeah.
A third of every human being's life is completely overlooked because there's nothing in it for me, because I'm not there.
Mm-hmm. It's all such a mystery, isn't it? It's all just so.
Absolutely. I mean, in a very real sense, you could say that there's only mystery. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yet it's not mysterious. I don't have any sense that this is mysterious.
Really?
No.
Even not knowing, it doesn't feel mysterious.
No, not mysterious at all. In fact, it's much less mysterious in not knowing. The illusion, the mystery is mysterious is there's things, the mysterious stuff for most selves is just the stuff that I can't explain. So therefore it's mysterious. So I live in knowing, and I know what I know, but all the other stuff that I don't know, the supernatural. So I know nature and I know what's natural, but supernatural, that's all mysterious. Well, if it's all natural, so I'm not saying that you know nature, I'm just saying there's just nature.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's not mysterious. There's nothing mysterious. It is a mystery in that you can't know, but not knowing isn't. I mean, that is great. That's very paradoxical, but not knowing isn't mysterious.
That's really interesting that you're saying that, because I see how much has been invested in the mysterious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I a lot of selves invest a great deal in the mysterious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hence, there's you know, an obsession with supernatural.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. It's like the other day, someone said something about something. Oh, I know. We were actually watching a clip, one of your clips, and at the end of watching the clip, uh, what was recognized was kind of all the effort that had been put into, I guess what we would call being spiritual.
Yeah.
And it was just gone. And it was like, oh my gosh, well, what will I do with all my time now?
No.
Because there was so much time invested. And it's like, well, what do I do now? Just play cards and hang out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just do stuff you enjoy doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever that is.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Tim.
Oh, thanks.
Really,
thank you.
thank
Anita has a hand up.
Anita.
Yeah, hi Tim.
Hi, Anita.
Yeah, I was wondering, there is no right or wrong, and I was wondering when, yeah, maybe you don't have friends with such a huge problem, but I was wondering if a friend of yours was saying I have that he has a psychological problem, would you speak in this way, or more confirming the self so that he is more stabilized? It does, in a way, it doesn't matter, I guess. Yeah.
You're asking me what would I say to someone?
Mm-hmm. Would you also speak in this way, or?
I don't know how I'd respond until I ask the question, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's always, I don't know what answers I'd give. Now, in the past, I would have known. I'd have done it by the book and said, you know, make sure you find yourself a good therapist and do what, you know, do the politically correct thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But now I think with everyone I speak to, I don't know what response will come out. I mean, that is the same for all of us. I think we all pretend we know how we might respond when somebody says something, and then something totally different comes out, doesn't it? We never know what the response will be.
Yes.
I would, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think whatever felt the most compassionate thing to do, really, generally. But I don't. I get. It would depend. It would depend on who it was, and yeah, there isn't a correct answer, as you say.
No.
Yeah. No, there isn't.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh.
Manuela, if you want, you need to unmute.
Super thankful to be here. Been going through the fires in Maui. And
so, wait, you were in the fires?
we were close to the fires, and I haven't been personally affected, but so many have, and
Yeah.
people I know have gone. And it's been very, very it's been, there's no way to describe it, but I'm here today because it feels so good to hear, when you speak, it's just as it is. And the grief and everything that's been arising has been way beyond that I could have ever imagined inside of my heart. But I kept on just staying true to the message somehow. There is no one here that can stay true to the message, but somehow every moment is an opportunity to see true. Like you said, everything can disappear in a moment. And then it can also happen physically, that people lose everything in a moment. And it gets all burned down to ashes.
Yeah.
And out of that, there is an enormous amount of stories moving in, how and why, and about the indigenous people. And it's been really, I just been able to just, somehow there's no one here, but to discover this dissolving of, like you said, there's a see through. It's almost like you see through the fire, you see through the rubble, you see through the everything that's lost. And that's like what you're speaking about here too. It's just that complete loss of it all. And like that deep grief inside is appearing, that there is just something, and the knowing that it is just as it is, and it's just this, and there's just this nothingness really about it, other than just to be with what is, and to not have to be anything or nothing. It's just coming in, that sometimes there's something that comes to me, that I am in front of someone and I offer something, but I know it's not, it's just coming out of love. You know what I mean? It just comes from love.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if someone is identified with the I or not I, or me, I or not me. I don't need to know anything. I just am so grateful for the reception of this unconditional love. And I thank you for this, because I love to be in these meetings with you. I feel that so deeply through you. And I just want to say thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
No, there's thanks. That's lovely. And there's it could sound, this message can sound as though it's lacking in compassion, and it's just not true. It's not at all. And so, like everything else, self claims grief as mine. You know, it's my love, and so it's my grief. It's not true at all. You know. Grief is liberated and seen to be what it is, which is love. The greatest sorrow is the greatest love. Well, most selves are fixated on happiness. And making sorrow and grief wrong. Not at all.
So much. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Him,
Cliff.
babe. I got a question for you.
Go on then.
Last week, I was enjoying you talking about how much you like tennis,
Yeah.
and that came up in a conversation when I was describing non-duality to somebody and relativity. Forgive me for having those conversations, but they do come up. And I was mentioning your tennis match in this respect. And this is the question that I have for you. So, as it is, and correct me where I'm off, all right? So I'm just going to talk and not worry about what I say. You could just say, no, that's not a good perception. But in just as it is, there's just movement, people, visual movement, ball moving back and forth, may call it graceful, ungraceful, but that's all just judgment. But there's just movement there. And there's movement of the leaves and the trees and the crowd. It's just a flow of movement. So what makes a tennis match, for me, interesting to watch, you know, we go to the US Open here in New York, and is I know the players, and I've been rooting for this particular player, and I know he's down, and he's got to get this point to stay in the set, because if he loses this set, he's probably going to lose the match. And he's tried so hard, and this would be the first time he made it to the quarterfinal. And there's this whole wonderful story of the drama that's of course all created in my mind, because I have my story. So I'm watching the story play out, and whatever it is, and that makes it exciting. You know, down to the add-in point is more exciting than the 30-30 point, it's in set 2. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So you get to that last, match point, and can he do it? And so all of that is a creation of the mind, right? That's all past. I'm projecting a future winner. I'm having a history, and I'm enjoying all of this immensely. It's adding to my experience, but it's all conventional. It's all relative. It's all story, but it's fun. So the point that I was trying to make to someone is that the non-dual experience of just emotion, all right, and the relative concocted experience, there is no difference about what's going on in the world, if you could use that phrase, or what's being experienced. It's just how it's seen. So there isn't any difference to say one is non-dual, the other is dual. It's just the way you're just parsing it up or not parsing it up, and the way you're processing things. So how do you enjoy tennis? Is it from a very dualistic, conventional, historic state with the projection of a future and a remembrance of a past, whether real or unreal? Or are you just watching the leaves flutter as,
Well, Cliff.
Yeah.
I got some, I mean, I stumble straight away on your, I don't know, there is some presumption of a non-dual experience.
Yeah.
Or there's,
right.
there's a possibility of a non-dual experience.
Yeah, you did make it clear that there is no such thing as non-duality, and you have misnamed the meeting, but you could come up with something else.
Well, I can't. So to answer your question, it's exactly the same as it's always been, but But I have to say, it's not. It's not the life and death that it used to be. For me as a player, now I don't play tennis because my legs aren't really up to it. But competitive sport, whether I'm playing or I'm rooting for a team or a player, it would have had my investment in whoever I'm supporting. Basically, I'm playing their game, aren't I? So when you're player, you're rooting for the player, you're playing. It's you out there.
Yeah.
Well, it's no longer me out there. Whether I'm playing or not, and yet the story would be pretty much exactly the same. The storytelling of, yeah, this is an important point. Okay, I'm one down. I need to get that back, and what all the storytelling and thought, or even out loud, if you're rooting for your team, could be exactly the same. But it is just that. It's a story. It's not really. It doesn't have the reality that it had for me.
Yeah.
And yet it's no different.
Mm-hmm.
I can't emphasize this enough. When I'm talking about non-duality, I'm not talking about experience.
I'm confused by that.
Experience is dual.
Now, if there's no non-duality, then you're going to tell me that are you saying that there's duality but no non-duality?
No, I'm not going to tell you that. I'm just going to say they're not two.
Slippery devil, aren't you?
But if you're going to experience something, if there is an experience of something, of course that's duality, isn't it?
Yeah.
Of course.
If
there is
knowing,
probably the greatest myth of non-duality, or the one of the greatest myths is that there is no duality. All appearance is duality. There is no appearance of non-duality. What would it appear as? For goodness sake.
Could you say this?
No, because the only thing you can say about this, you can say this. That's what I say. That's the word I've got stuck on somehow, but it doesn't mean anything. There isn't a this. There is no this. there's only this. And there you go. So
Yeah.
I'm going to leave you with that.
All right.
Because that's a good place to finish.
Yeah.
Because that really, I mean, that sums up non-duality. It's not giving you anything. It's not. It's offering you this, which there isn't.
In a way, it's a strange way, it actually works for me. Yeah. Don't ask me to explain it.
Thank God it works for somebody, Cliff. Yeah, there is only this, so there is no this.
Yeah.
You could, yeah, I mean, you can spend a lifetime looking for it. People do.
Yeah.
When it's all there is. But you won't find it. You won't get it. No one has it. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that the most wonderful thing you could ever hear? No one. And I mean no one. I don't care who you're worshiping this week. As the beautiful Abby in Asheville would say, I don't care who your guru du jour happens to be. They haven't got it. Isn't that wonderful? No one has more or less of this. It's absolute equality. And absolute equality feels like unconditional love. There is no one who is possibly higher or lower than another. Well, thanks for coming, everyone. I aim to have a meeting again next. Thanks, Cliff. I aim to have another meeting next Thursday, and if you'd like to be on the email list for the invitation, then just email me at clistim@gmail.com, and I'll put you on the invitation list. Thanks very much, everybody. Thanks, Darren.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks,
See you.
Tim.
Lovely day.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Bye.
Thank you, Tim. Bye.
Thanks.
I'm trying to see what's recording.